So Jessie is a CSU alumna who completed her internship with Trellis Supportive Care in February. She is gearing up to take the board certification exam in the next few weeks and begin her music therapy career with Carilion Clinic in Roanoke, Virginia at the start of May. So welcome, Jessie.
Like we said, I'm Jessie, and I just finished my internship with Trellis Supportive Care about a month ago, a little over. And part of my internship was completing a final project. So I did mine on clinical applications of technology-based interventions in music therapy with hospice patients. Music technology has always been a bit of a passion of mine. I kind of considered going into audio engineering instead of music therapy. Ultimately, I wanted to use music to help people, but I found a way to kind of merge the two throughout this internship and kind of explore new interventions that I hadn't seen before done by other people. So this is I did some research, and this is I want to explore this more with my new job starting in about a month, and hopefully develop some of these interventions further. So this is a culmination of my project with my internship, and hopefully will turn into something bigger and better someday. So in the literature, I was just looking at how music technology has been used in music therapy, and isolated these 4 goals, so there was definitely more. So emotional expression, songwriting was a major thing that Knight and Kraut explored, creating songs in GarageBand and that sort of thing. And across all these goals, so I noticed there was a lack of literature with technology with older adults, because people tend to assume that older adults wouldn't want technology in their sessions. So sensory exploration, a lot of sensory exploration with kids with ASD, but not a lot with older adults with dementia, even though that is a common goal. And relaxation, music has been used for relaxation, or technology for relaxation, for a long time with both music and audiobooks and guided imagery, but technology has been the common thread, making relaxation accessible at home. So why not use it in music therapy? And in communication as well, with augmented communication devices, uses of switches to trigger pre-recorded sounds. But like I said, not a lot of research with older adults. So some considerations of technology music therapy identified by the literature: cost, privacy, accessibility, customization, and education. The education thing was probably the most common thing I saw across the literature. I know CSU now has a technology music therapy class. I did not take it. So I can tell that it is growing and becoming more accessible as we go. But as of right now, there's not a whole lot of education on how to use technology music therapy. So I'm going to move on to the case study. I have 2 of those, and I'm using pseudonyms. So this is Mary. So Mary was a 94-year-old woman with a primary diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. She lived in a skilled nursing facility. And my initial goals for her were engagement and increased quality of life. So this is a lot of text. You can read it if you want, but also you don't have to. So Mary, I was one of the first patients I started seeing in my internship, and she was very closed and projected very inward. So sensory exploration was a goal I had for her. Every time I saw her, she was using a sensory blanket, and I could tell that was a goal that the facility had for her, as well as in music therapy. So I thought that she would be a good patient to try out some of these techniques with. So the first time I brought a MIDI keyboard, which I can show you right now. This is the MPK MIDI keyboard. MPK Mini, I think it's like 2. I don't know, just look up MPK MIDI keyboard and you will be golden. So I use this a lot with Mary. And so at first I just plugged it into my iPad, had a piano app to see if she would play along. When we had played the drum before, she kind of had her fingers as if she was playing the piano. I thought maybe there'd be a piano background just to see. She ended up not playing the piano. which is fun how you expect somebody to do something and they don't. But she had these little drum pads and they're like kind of rubberized. And she started picking at the corners of them while I was singing and turning these little dials, and the dials didn't do anything. So it was the tactile feel of the instrument um, while I was singing and playing piano. And so I was playing piano upside down, which is a skill I never thought I would need. Um, so that's where it started, was just using the keyboard for sensory exploration. And I kept going with that with a few other sessions. And then I also just tried with my iPad, the piano on the iPad, and I have a matte screen protector, and she was rubbing it for that tactile feel of the iPad rather than the music. So in this case, I'm not so sure, honestly, how much music technology helped as far as music for sensory exploration, but the tools still did give her that tactile um, sensory exploration, which is all I was really looking for while I was singing familiar and patient preferred music with her. So then in the last session with her, she was in bed and she had declined quite a bit. She was asleep, but she appeared to be uncomfortable. She was tense, breathing really shallow, kind of had like a grimace look on her face. So I shifted my goal to relaxation and reduce pain perception if she was in any pain, and tried out a relaxation intervention that I had been kind of creating in on my own time. So now I'm going to walk you through a video that I created the other day of an example of the relaxation intervention, which is really the meat of like what I was trying to explore here. So I'll pause the video throughout and explain as I go. So this app, Sammy, if you want to spotlight the screen share again. This app is called AudioBus 3, and I use it as like a map to route different audio apps. So for the input, I put in Cubasis 3, which is my preferred music digital audio workstation. And the output, I put Loopy HD, which is my preferred looper for the iPad. They're both paid apps. There are free apps you can use as well. I think they're worth the money. As a side note, get Cubasis 3 on Black Friday. I got it for half off. So Black Friday, definitely look at music apps because they all go on sale. That's a tangent. Anyway, so I put in Cubasis 3 and Loopy HD. So here's Cubasis 3. Sometimes it closes on its own. So now I'm going to explore different sounds to find one that I think would be relaxing and match the energy of Mary's room. This one sounds kind of spooky. You'll hear that. This one's definitely not, so you can see they all would have different applications. The high Q echoes kind of reminded me of rain, and I could see somebody or myself making it really quiet and adding it on top of a soundscape. But with Mary, I was trying to keep it simple. So I ended up using Mary's voice, which is a built-in sound to Cubasis 3. I thought it was interesting that it has her pseudonym Mary, which I didn't do on purpose. I liked the consistent pulsing of the sound, which you'll hear, and so I went with that. And here's what it sounds like. And if you don't have a MIDI keyboard, you can pull up the keyboard on the screen. Moving into loopy, it can be kind of cumbersome to start. So here I kind of attempted to start and realized that I had to reset the session. So here I'm just creating a drone sound as a bass line. And then adding in chords. I knew Mary loved the hymn Amazing Grace, so I tried to use chords that would sound like they were Amazing Grace, but not. So it has that hymn feel to it without fully committing to any song in particular. And I was trying to match the energy in the room, but also the targeted energy, where I knew she was resting, so I wasn't going to start too loud or in your face about it. But I also, in the end, wanted to end on a really simple note, pun intended. So by making the simple soundscape, it gives you a baseline where you can build and create that arc that we look for in our sessions. And that's what I tried to do there. So then I went back to Cubasis and opened up the piano app. And I was just exploring her reaction to the piano. Also, I hadn't done this in a while, exploring how I might play piano over this particular loop. So here's just explorations of that. The whole time watching the patient and her reactions and constantly assessing. I wanted the piano to be a little louder. You can change that. So I'll add to one thing I can't really demonstrate over Zoom is singing on top of this. So as I was exploring with the piano, and this is all sped up, I'd go stretch this out over 20 minutes or longer, given the patient. But singing words of comfort for her, I sang "You Were Loved and You Are Safe" to the tune of Amazing Grace. Incorporated her name, and she'd relax more when I'd say "Mary, you are loved." She'd start breathing deeper, and you could tell in her aspect that she was more relaxed. So moving in and out of a cappella singing or with the piano as well is another layer of this, or just humming. Trying to make it more simple as she's relaxing. And I can slowly fade out the sound of the loop. Another perk of using technology for this is it gave me a free hand where I could provide physical touch comfort. So stroking her shoulder. She was pretty isolated being in the skilled nursing facility and with her severe dementia. So giving her a sense of comfort and presence. I'd be doing a lot of a cappella singing and humming. Instead, I played it down an octave. And then move into completely a cappella with no instruments, humming and stroking her arm. I usually would end my sessions with just speaking to her, and again, that reminder that she's safe and loved. If it was a joint visit with a chaplain might start praying if it was appropriate for that patient, or opening it up to processing with her caregiver if they were present as well. Yeah, so it's all about creating a space for the patient to feel whatever they are needing to feel, and also to relax. So I'm going to pause it there. Does anybody have any questions about that intervention, about how I did it, or implications for other populations or other settings? Okay, we'll move on. So the next case study was Dave. He was an 89-year-old man with a primary diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. Sessions took place at our inpatient unit. And also what that means is I saw him weekly, if not multiple times a week. When home care patients, I only saw about once a month generally. So I saw him really frequently. Music therapy sessions or services for emotional expression, reminiscence, and relaxation. So I didn't plan on using technology with Dave except for using OnSong for sheet music, but he was really interested in my iPad and he kept asking me about it. He wanted to know where he could get that sort of thing, asked me how much it was, and he was just interested in getting an iPad for himself. It was really sweet to share it with him, and I was showing him. I was like, yeah, these are the words. I don't have them all memorized, and so I was just showing him how I would use my iPad with him. Not a lot of people ask. So then he had a lot of emotions about being bedbound, his loss of ability to walk, his decline. He had a lot of health problems for the past few years, and he always bounced back. And he was on hospice and not going to bounce back. So we were processing those emotions. And in the moment, I thought of an intervention I'd always wanted to use, or use GarageBand to create different scale modes, kind of like on a xylophone when you take off the bars that you don't want your client to play. So on a whim, at the end of my session, I opened up the iPad for him to do that, and I played a blues progression in E while he played over the top, and he really got a kick out of it. And ever since then, though, he started declining, and I didn't get a chance to explore it more with him. But something I'm interested in exploring more in the future with my new job is using this for emotional expression, and really diving into it when it wasn't on a whim. But I brushed the surface here with Dave. So in this video, it's much shorter. I will show you how I set that up with GarageBand, which is much less complicated than the last one. So here's GarageBand. You can swipe through all the different instruments. I usually go with my preferred piano app, but the one that comes with GarageBand is fine. Or you could do electric guitar if that's what your client might want, or let the client choose. But in this case, I chose piano. Then you go to scale, and you can pick your different scale modes. And there's a lot to choose from. Usually I'd pick minor blues or major pentatonic. So you can change the key as well. Usually I go with E, but here it is in C. And then there are some other skills I don't know much about, like this Southeast Asian one, and there's a Japanese one. Potential there to explore other more cultural music. I definitely would need more education in that. I really liked the Japanese one. You can see. So I would encourage you all just to, if you have an iPad, just explore this because it's free and it's fun, I think, as just for yourself, um, to play music without the confines of having knowledge of music theory, to know what notes to play when, to just explore music for the sake of music. But also I can see implications for this across like all populations. Um, it's definitely not isolated to just my hospice patients. One thing with it though is the screen looks pretty crowded, and I can see that being really distracting, especially for a child with ASD. Hopefully Apple would support using this with a MIDI keyboard or something like that to be more tactile than just the screen of the iPad. Um, so hopefully they do that someday. But for now, this is what I've found, and it's definitely worth exploring. So there are a lot of benefits to creating a soundscape for relaxation, and I've only brushed the surface. It depends on your client and what they're needing, but there's potential to create layers upon layers of sound or not. And I think that there's just so much flexibility to it, more so than just playing guitar, and you can only do so much. Like I said, it also freed up one of my hands to provide comfort, physical touch. I also played it in the background as I was putting my guitar away, so that you have the continuity. And a lot of my patients would wake up because I would trip on something or hit my guitar on a chair, something like that. So masking those environmental sounds with music on your way out, or even in a hospital, masking the sounds of the equipment, is another use. You could also record one. It wouldn't give the same ISO principle like benefit of live music, but you could create one with your patient or in the moment and record it. They can listen to it later. That's another benefit. Adaptations of virtual music arrangement. So using GarageBand, again, that was also just the surface. There's another feature where if you're playing electric guitar, when you open your mouth, it'll act as like the wah pedal, which I think is so cool. And I haven't explored it much, but there's so many features, and it really keeps your sessions fresh. And it's worth diving into and just having fun. There's more research needed with larger variety of hospice patients. I plan on continuing to use this with my patients going forward. And there are implications for just older adults in general. The field of technology is growing really quickly. That makes it hard for the research to keep up. But a lot of the articles I was reading are saying by the time this is published, there's probably something better. And I've definitely found that to be true. Even since I made this presentation a month ago, there are more new things in music technology that I don't know about. So it's growing really quickly, which is awesome, but also really intimidating and hard to keep up with. And one thing I will add as well, the way I discovered all this is just approaching music technology as play. It's always been something I go to for fun and just exploring for myself, and then integrating into my sessions. So just the best thing you can do to use music technology in your practice is to use it for yourself. I can't emphasize that enough. That's all I have for you. Here's some references. I did write a paper on this, so if anyone would like a copy of that paper, feel free to let me know. I do have like step-by-step instructions on how to do both of those interventions I said. Let me add my email to the chat. Gab, I will send you, I'll send it to you for sure. Oh, and I'm just seeing comments. I didn't see this whole time. Let me stop sharing. So yes, Audiobus 3 is $9.99 on the App Store. Worth it, for sure. I believe in my paper as well, I have a list of my preferred music apps, and if not, I can include that as well. Yeah, and I can include my paper where I have screenshots and step-by-step instructions on how to do both those interventions. Are there any questions?
I also, if you don't mind sharing, wanted to ask how much you spent on your MIDI keyboard and like what you think a good price range is for buying that.
That's a great question. I always ask for some music therapy equipment for my birthday or for Christmas. And so this was a birthday present, but I do know how much it was because I picked it out. And it was, I believe, $99. But honestly, it's not bad, but it's also not the best. And you could probably get one that's just as functional for 40 or 50. Like these dials, like if you have a Mac, I think these have function, but there's no use for these dials. So the fancier ones aren't supported by iPad, and I like the iPad because it's portable. So really anything that has a keyboard and then has this MIDI plug will get the job done for these things. And so this isn't necessary. So I'd say 40 or 50. It's not really about quality, it's about functionality.
Thank you.
See, did any professional at your internship use technology similar to this? No. So I was the only intern, and it was just me and my supervisor for most of my internship. And I was the only one exploring these technology interventions. Though she was very supportive every step of the way. Less V5 is on sale.
Yes, so I just got that one. I was just going to chime in whenever you were showing yours because I have it right here. It's, I need to turn off that background. Give me like 2 seconds. Okay, so it looks like this. It's a little bit bigger. It has basically a lot of the same functions as what Jessie was showing. It's on sale for $59 right now. So I would recommend it.
And that one's also iPad compatible.
Yes. So what you have to get is it comes with this cord, which has a USB to, not sure exactly what this one's called, but it goes in, and then you have to get, it's called like a camera converter, and you plug it in, and then it goes into the lightning port.
Yeah, and mine, my iPad uses USB-C instead of lightning. And so I just have this cord, which is what you're saying, the MIDI. I don't know what it's called either. I just say it's the MIDI cord.
Power cord.
Directly to the USB-C, if your iPad supports that. And so all I would carry around in my guitar case was my MIDI keyboard, my iPad, and this cord, which eliminated the need for like an interface and a mixer and all that, because I was going for functionality. Are there any other questions or any that I missed in the chat?
I don't see any other questions. I've been kind of keeping an eye on it. Let me double check. Oh,
how long did
Kara just asked one.
Gotcha. Kara, I will let you know. It was very hard for me to learn how to be a music therapist in my internship while also trying out things that weren't taught to me that I was figuring out on my own. That was probably the hardest part, was just being nervous about general music therapy things, of just being nervous in general. And then So I wouldn't say I was ever fully comfortable with it. But I will also say that hospice patients are very forgiving and maybe more forgiving than other populations. So with Mary, she was going to be asleep no matter what. And if if I started playing drums really loudly, yeah, that'd be bad. But like if I accidentally looped it wrong and had to start over, like it was going to be okay. So I really used the space in my internship of my patients also wanted me to succeed, to explore that. And even with another patient, we did a songwriting intervention together. And then I did a preferred song and I forgot the words. And I was like, that's so funny, I forgot the words. And she just laughed at me and we laughed together. And she was like, you need to go work on your words. And just being able to be humble about it and laugh at your mistakes with your patient and your client, if that's your personality, like it is mine. And that helped me get more comfortable, but I was never truly comfortable trying this. I'd need more experience. Yeah, so Ravenscroft is another paid app, but there's so many free pianos. There are a few in GarageBand. There are a few in Keybase, but I use. But Ravenscroft, again, if you look on Black Friday, you can get it on sale. And it's the most accurate sounding piano that I've found. And also the internet would agree with me. So much so that if you plug in a piano pedal, you get the like air compressing sounds of a real piano. So I think all these are worth the money, but that's just me. So yeah, it's paid app, but they're like any piano sound would work. You can just play around with what you think sounds good. I just don't like pianos that sound too fake. Questions? Okay, well, if not, that's my presentation. I hope to publish this someday. You do a little more work with it. So be on the lookout for that sometime in the next few years. But thanks for indulging me about something I'm really passionate about.
Thank you, Jessie. I think I can speak for everyone in saying that was wonderful.